and something which you can implement and person is personal is with the immediate message and not the sender. Create the or you get the message on the body. People who are more advanced, they will get more different messages. Therefore, Shastras give instructions at all levels. And that is the beauty of Shastras. That is the perfection of it. Therefore, if we try to analyze, Shastras are perfect in things. We can try doing this exercise. Bhagavad Gita is giving instructions for all kinds of people. Whether they are in Anand Chandra, or they are in Sri Krishna, or they are in Sri Ruchi. Instructions are there for everybody. The same thing you will find. Bhagavatam is also like that. The same thing you will find. The prayers of Acharya. Prayers of Acharya, basic device philosophy also you will find. When Acharyas are praying, the basic device philosophy is also there. And not only the basic device philosophy is also there, but the highest of the revelations are also there. The basic points are also there. That, oh Lord, you are the cause of all causes, and you are behind the universe. When the universe is destroyed, you remain. And when the universe is not there, still you are there. And even when the universe is there, you are there. And everything is resting upon you. And everything is dark, and you are the source of light. Basic device philosophy. So in prayers of Mahabhagavata, you will find that also. But then Mahabhagavata will speak many more things also. Mahabhagavata will speak like Buddha Sundara speaking that kind of love I want to have for you to speak. It's like a lover for love. So let my mind be completely obsessed and absorbed in American love. So we see that this is perfection. That one is able to relate to various kinds of people, all kinds of people. So that is the next point. The fourth point is that and a good teacher will never just give simple, straightforward, formal application questions. They give initially for encouragement's sake, for familiarization's sake, but then for in-depth, for going deeper, you may start giving more and more tricky concepts, and that tricky concepts actually take a person deeper. Otherwise, one will never be able to access depths. So that is why we see here that, so basically because of these four reasons, the question is not framed in a straightforward manner. Absorption means what? A devotee, when he does something, he does it in the finest possible way. He does not do it, just like, okay, if you have to give a lecture, you can give a lecture like this. The Krishna Supreme Personality point. We should chant Hare Krishna 24 hours a day. If you are not able to chant, we can at least chant enough ceremony program time. We should read proper books 1 hour every day. And we can take prasad, but we should not take too much. And the only quality we should practice and aspire for is humility. So now, if it is a 5 minutes lecture, this is fine, huh? Perfect lecture. Is there any discrepancy? It's perfect. Now, if it is a 1 hour lecture, the same message can be repeated 10 times. No? The same words can be repeated 10 times. Is it right? It's as simple as that. It's perfect philosophy. Krishna Supreme Personality of Godhead, chanting Hare Krishna, and aspiring for humility, and taking prasad, but not too much prasad. Okay? And we can repeat the same thing in a 1 hour lecture, 10 times, 12 times, like that. Because ultimately it's a meditation. So now what happens is that So then what is the problem? Perfect and complete. And quite straight cut. Like that. But now when a devotee is speaking, he would not just speak this way. He would like to go into it. What does it mean that Krishna is Supreme Personality? So he starts meditating on, a devotee starts meditating on, what is, how to see the semblance of Krishna being Supreme Personality in his life. So he starts sharing from that platform. How to, connect to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What happens to vision when one, practices humility? Is it possible to practice humility? How much, what is the benchmarks on which one can practice? So devotee starts going deep. Is it? And that is called as absorption. So here Arjuna is going deeper. By picturization we go deeper. By metaphorization we go deeper. Now these are ways in which we go deeper, not like that. Like you give a concept, you give an analogy, you are able to understand it. You make a drawing, you give colors, you are able to feel it better. So in this way, absorption. So Arjuna is quite absorbed into the message. Does that make sense? So Lord Krishna starts answering. Text 55 is the answer to Bhasha, characteristics. Text 56-57 is the answer to speech, Kim Prabhasita. From 58 to 63, Lord Krishna explains the restraining of senses. How does the Sita Pragya restrain his senses? And from 64 to 72 is a discussion on how does the Sita Pragya engage himself. So this is how the whole division is going to flow forward. Speech. How does this characteristics? 55 is characteristics. Bhasha. Bhasha is characteristic. That's what we. One of the meanings of Bhasha is characteristic, and this is the meaning which is used here. Actually, is explained.
Bhashya is characteristics.
And G?
Bhashya
and Bhasha come from the same root word. Just to elaborate on that point, I use the example of Bhasha and Bhashya. Bhashya means commentary. So both of them, are coming from the same root. So Bhasha also means characteristic. And here the connotation in which the word is used is characteristic, not language. So Bhasha means characteristic, Prabhasita means speech, that is answered 56-57. Asita is answered 58-63. 64-72 is Rajita. How does Sita Pragya engage himself? The entire journey of life is an exploration. The nature of the characteristic of this world is that this world is intrinsically dark. And therefore, it is very difficult to understand what is what. It is very difficult to figure out what is right and what is wrong. Where is the right path? Where is the wrong path? What is guidance and what is misguidance? Very difficult to figure out. Therefore, in the practice of bhakti also, whether we are advancing or not advancing, difficult to figure out. Whether we are advancing or not advancing, not so easy to figure out. So that means if something is unknown, and material world, the characteristic of this material world is that everything is unknown. We don't know who is a friend, who is an enemy. We don't know who is a well-wisher, who is not. We don't know what is love, what is not. We don't know what is beneficial, what is not. We don't know what is spiritual, what is not. So, such a premise is a typical portrayal of material world. Unknown frontiers. And now the question comes is that when you embark on unknown frontiers, how do we understand what is what? How do we understand what is what? Very, very important principle. Because we don't know. And the matter of the fact is that nobody knows. So by advancement of Krishna consciousness, a person will achieve to the state of perfecting himself. But he does not achieve the state or transcend to the state of being all perfect. Person achieves his own perfection, but he does not achieve all perfection. Which means person still remains limited. Limited to the understanding of one's own relationship and rasa and service to Krishna. So which means that the frontiers are quite unknown. And now therefore life, so when the whole scene is unknown and we don't know what to do, what not to do, then every step which is taken, it's an unknown frontier. Just like, say for example, light goes off from here. And all of us have to go down. So the things are not visible. We don't have any aid of lighting. Things are not visible. It's an unknown frontier and we have to accomplish a task. So how do we do it? So therefore the first thing which is explained by Shastra is that be very careful. And therefore it is said, Vando mui savadhana matri. If you are going down, be careful and go down. That is the beginning of bhakti. Careful. The next point is what? That means that at every stage, one has to test himself. Testification is the only benchmark which a person has when frontiers are unknown. So how do we climb the staircase down? We are there in a position, we test it. क्या है? क्या है आगे? Is it a wall here? Okay, there is a wall here. I can take help of the wall. Let me hold down. And then you take a step forward, it's okay. There is a staircase, stair is ending, the next stair is there. Let me put down one step on the next. So we test it, we see it's fine, we take the step. Then we are on the next step. And then again with some symptom, we test it. And then again we take the next step.
No, but one can become passive now. Why at all to go down, just sit.
If the house is on fire.
One tend to become, if he thinks that what may be right, what may be wrong, then he maybe why to endeavor so much, tend to become passive. Even in case of devotees also, whether advancement will be there or not, What if? Actually, what if? Higher questions is like, what if by choosing guru? I mean, in earlier cases of ISKCON also, the gurus fell down. So what if that happens? Then that kind of questions make one passive in acting forward in Krishna consciousness. How to overcome the passive nature?
Nobody is passive in this world. Passiveness in one dimension means enthusiasm on the other dimension. Is it? Nobody can avoid taking risks. Nobody can avoid taking risks. Material life is based on taking risks. A person marries the greatest risk of life. It's very great risk actually. Because what the other person is going to do to him and his family members, nobody knows. Like when person he gets a child and he accepts that child, it's the greatest risk of his life. So that simple, humble-looking face, what that face is going to do, in times to come, nobody can say. Is it not? So what kind of kundali he is carrying? Sometimes the face is very nice, the character is not there. Sometimes face is nice, character is nice, लेकिन पीछे का backlog इतना ज़्यादा है ना, influence, like that. Just like sometimes, so kundali is like that. It takes birth, और पूरा खानदान उड़ जाता है ना. Such a strong kundali, like that. So basically, the kind of, it's a big risk actually. Big risk. So the matter of this fact is that way we have to understand we are in darkness. And we cannot do 90, 90, 90, 90, 90, 90, 90, इति हो जाता है इधर तो ना 90, 90, 90 कहीं तो इति कहीं तो अति हो जाता है ना. Yeah, it's like that. It cannot be an absolute 90. Isn't it? Somewhere or the other one picks up gati and does ati. No? Again. So therefore, the point is that, yes, every now and then we are taking risks. We have to take risks. Why to spend 2 years, 3 years, 4 years in JEE preparation? नहीं हुआ तो? नहीं हुआ तो? Why to spend 4 years in ONR department understanding there is not much placement? ONR is still okay. What about geophysics? What about mining? कितना भी mine करो कुछ निकलेगा नहीं. So the point is that we're really groping in the dark. We really don't know anything. We really don't know what is going to come up. Something we have to do. We cannot just sit. The problem is one can just sit. But the problem is that the ground of the material world is also changing. So just like you're on a conveyor belt, if you are not moving forward, then the ground is moving, So you are moving. So there is no absolute stillness actually. That is why we see people make investments. There is a risk. In that sense, people purchase lands. There is a great risk in land purchase. What will happen? Something will happen. Anything can happen. And even big companies suffer. What to say of individuals? There is a risk everywhere. We're sitting in train, there is a risk. We're sitting in flights, there is a risk. Is it not? So this what if is, this question has no meaning in this material world. Is it not? Because something or the other we have to do. So therefore there is no passiveness. There is no concept of passiveness actually. Person is engaging in some way or the other, something or the other.
So passive in terms of spirituality actually.
That is the disease. So now the question comes is that when we cannot be absolutely passive, then why the question of fear? Why the question of fear or resistance comes when it comes to spiritual undertakings?
Mainly because it hampers sense gratification.
Yes, so that is why one has to preach for the self-will intelligence. And therefore, this is the area where a sadhaka needs to push himself. That when it comes to anything and everything, I am alright for it. But when it comes to bhakti and taking spiritual undertakings, why am I stepping back? Why don't I put my endeavors for that? That is the point actually, which a sadhaka has to realize. That is the point which a sadhaka has to work on. Because yes, we are dark. The whole thing is dark and we really don't know what is what. And we have to take risks. So the question is that why not step forward in bhakti? And this aspect, all of us need to realize to take any step forward. When we see the face of a beautiful woman, the first thought does not come, पता नहीं उसका character क्या है, कुंडली क्या है उसका, like that. One thinks, no problem. Now immediately the attraction. So there no justification comes into picture. So that means that this is the kind of wrong proclivities or conditionings which we have. And deliberately we have to undo it now. And redo it towards the positive directions. Therefore it is said that we should always take spiritual challenges a little more than our capacity. Or a little more than our evaluation of our capacity. So this is an important principle actually. Does it make sense? So that's why a devotee has to be introspective. To check, what am I doing? What am I thinking? Where are my thoughts flowing? Where I am channelizing my enthusiasm? Where I am charging, where I am restraining? And we'll see sense gratification is charging, towards sense gratification is a charge, and towards some Vaishnava quality is a restraint. So time and again these polarities keep changing in our lives. It's not that we become a devotee and once and for all it is set right. Time and again these polarities keep changing. So again and again we have to sit down, we have to testify ourselves. And that is the meaning of testification. We take a step and we evaluate. कहाँ पहुँचा मैं? Now where should I take the next step? Okay, where is the benchmark? Is it fine? Is that fine? Is that fine? Should I take the step? Then we take the step. So therefore we see that therefore nothing should be done as a mad surge. The whole situation should be in control. A sadhaka can never afford to go out of control because the whole scene is lying actually. Out of control means nobody can do anything to it. So, so that is how, so that means that whatever we are doing, one should be ready to change it, to mold it, to amend it. Because we really don't know what is right, what is wrong. We really don't know where what is going on. It's a dark place. And that is why testification is very important. So what does this mean in more clear terms? It means that one needs to check. And that's why Prabhupada is explaining, Prabhupada is using the term here in the purport symptoms. So when you want to test, what do you test? Symptoms. Like that. So you may say, okay, Krishna conscious results, wonderful, the devotee has done Herculean Seva, the whole world is rocking. No? The holy name vibrations are, spirit in full Calcutta is shaking up by that. No? Fine. But then you look at the devotee, morning is missing, Some or the other you meet him, fumes are coming out of his existence, When he speaks, Prabhasi takim, atomic bombs are being shooting, Only of, So that means, कुछ तो गड़बड़ हुआ है. Symptoms. Symptoms. Somebody just did prasadam serving. Serving. रोज होता है. But then you go near him, he's so ecstatic, he's grateful to spiritual master, he's grateful to devotees, he wants to serve more and more, he wants to, he's very happy, very enthusiastic, Symptoms. So everything is known by its effects, symptoms. And therefore one should keep watching the symptoms very properly. Now we can appreciate many factors actually. If we understand the science of symptoms, we can appreciate many factors. The first factor being that Shastras never give micromanaged quantifiable details. Shastras always explain symptoms. Because if we just go into numbers, we may get cheated. And therefore Shastras give principles, symptoms. You will see that Shastras give symptoms for everything. What is knowledge? What are the, who is a Vaishnava? Who is a person in knowledge? What is mode of goodness? Symptoms. That's how Shastras speak. Shastras are not giving any graphs. Shastras are not giving any particular numerical data. Because numerical data will vary. It is all dependent on a relative grounds. Everything is relative in this world. And therefore principles are given actually. The symptoms are given. So second aspect we learn, because everything is symptomatic or everything has to be judged by its symptoms, therefore, we cannot judge things on its face value. We cannot judge people on their face value. We cannot judge opinions on their face value. A very important principle here. We cannot judge opinions on face value. We cannot judge viewpoints on face value. We cannot judge people on face value.
Now, recently you were saying that we have to check our symptoms.
That is the same thing. Face value means what it appears to you. And symptoms means, no, point is what? So when we say symptoms, Shastras are telling what should be symptom for what. And whenever we look at people, we have to match those symptoms. And it cannot be on face value. It has to be tested over time. What is the effect of it which comes out? One may have an idea of preaching, and we may say bogus idea, impractical, useless. So easy to say. But if you give him time, 10 years, he may rock the world. No? That is the point actually. The testification has to be on the scale of time. So the effect has to be seen. That is the symptom. The symptoms appear in the effects actually. What is the effect on the person who is doing it? And what is the effect on the thing which is done? Both have to be seen. A very important principle actually. Just because we don't like an idea does not mean that idea can never be done. It has to be tested on time. It has to be tested on time. So this is the very important fabric actually, by which we can reconcile. So what is the reconciling factor? Now diversity is very difficult to handle. Because diversity means a lot of reverberations. And therefore a person gets completely jolted and he is not able to take it up. So one needs to understand how to handle diversities in art. And here the Lord is explaining it. Here we see that what Shastras are explaining to us is that diversity can be handled if we go by the understanding of the symptoms. The person is completely diverse, 180 degrees. But then we see that he is very steady in Krishna consciousness. Symptoms. He relishes all Krishna conscious activities. Shravanam, Kirtanam, so on. Like that, symptoms. By his diversity, he is able to attract people to Krishna's shelter. Symptoms. So diversity has to be handled in that setting. Not that it does not suit me. Okay, fine, it doesn't suit us. We need not do the same thing. But that does not mean that that thing doesn't have to be there at all. So this is the important factor actually. The diversity has to be the reconciling factor. It's to go by the symptoms, to go by the effects. What is the ultimate effect on the person? And that is the meaning of testification. What do we mean when we say, okay, test? What do we test? What are the effects? What are the effects actually?
Effects in consciousness or actions?
Results, yes. On the person and on what he did. On what he did. So that is the point actually. Just like, because anything which is bhakti will always give positive effects on all grounds actually. On the individual, on people connected to him, on the mission, on everything actually. And on the individual we'll see body, mind, soul, intellect, everything will be satisfied. So that's why symptoms are very important actually to watch. Because directly it is not possible to watch the face value things. It is not possible to interpret it properly, but we can see symptoms and interpret like that. And this is explained everywhere. In Chaitanya Leela also this is explained in the pastime of Pundarik Vidya, a classic pastime. So externally, Vishayi. And if you watch symptoms to Mahabharata, that is the point actually. And this is the only difference between material and spiritual. What is visible superficially is the material part of it, the material veneer. And a devotee, he has to learn to penetrate that and access the spiritual fabric inside. That is the point. That is why Arjuna is asking about symptoms. Symptoms should govern life. So similarly, when it comes to our own Krishna consciousness, symptoms. If we can catch symptoms and take an action based on symptoms, we will never be screwed off. So everything is seen to that degree. Now, if suppose one is taking an undertaking, and while taking the undertaking, know what kind of symptoms are coming in the consciousness, what kind of thoughts are coming. If one is becoming angry, one is becoming frustrated, one is becoming envious, one is becoming proud, one is charging on others. So one should understand this is a symptom. These symptoms are showing a dangerous signal. Something is wrong. What is missing? What is not going on proper? So person will understand that either he is not doing sadhana properly, or he has taken up too much than his capacity. So any such reason like that. So when one understands symptoms and takes a message, then he can learn. Then he can learn. So we see that when we see positive symptoms, we move forward. When we see negative symptoms, we should take a step back. That is Krishna consciousness, actually. We should take a step back.
What is the meaning of purification? What is the meaning of purification? Because purification involves negative symptoms.
Purification means what? Purification means molding oneself towards a direction from negative to positive symptoms. That's called purification. And molding is purifying. That is the meaning of purification. Is it not?
Initially, because it hampers our likes or sense gratification, it may frustrate us. So in that sense, that is fine. Good frustration.
Yes. Yes. Therefore, a sadhaka has to make his intellect very strong. Intellect is like a microscope. Intellect is always like a microscope. It zooms on the scale, and it shows us the small, just like if you take a lens, you can see the small viruses inside. So intelligence is like a microscope. It zooms on it, and then you can see, ganda hai, like that. So that's why a sadhaka has to make his intellect very strong, so that it's visible to him what is right, what is wrong actually. So some things may not be so palatable, but one understands. It's nice for me, fine. It's nice for me, it's fine. I should do it because it's good for me. So this is, so symptomatic, the symptoms understanding, yes, is calling on the intelligence aspect actually. श्रीभगवानुवाच प्रजहाति यदा कामान् सर्वान् पार्थमनोगतान् आत्मनेवात्मना तुष्टः स्थितप्रज्ञास्तदुच्यते. the Supreme Personality of God itself. O Partha, when a man gives up all varieties of desire for sense gratification, which arise from mental concoction, and when his mind thus purified finds satisfaction in the self alone, then he is said to be in pure transcendental consciousness. The Bhagavatam affirms that any person who is fully in Krishna consciousness or devotional service of the Lord has all the good qualities of great sages, whereas a person who is not so transcendently situated has no good qualifications, because he is sure to be taking refuge in his own mental concoctions. Consequently, it is rightly said herein that one has to give up all kinds of sense desire manufactured by mental concoction. Artificially, such sense desires cannot be stopped. But if one is engaged in Krishna consciousness, then automatically sense desires subside without extraneous efforts. Therefore, one has to engage himself in Krishna consciousness without hesitation, for this devotional service will instantly help one unto the platform of transcendental consciousness. The highest developed soul always remains satisfied in himself by realizing himself as an eternal servitor of the Supreme Lord. Such a transcendentally situated person has no sense desires resulting from petty materialism. Rather, he remains always happy in his natural position of eternally serving the Supreme Lord. So here is the powerful or the punchline characteristic given. Chitta Pragya. Pragya means the faculty for deep thinking. Pragya. So now the question is being asked, okay, what are the characteristics of a Chitta Pragya? Vrajahati Yadakaman. So whatever are material desires, such a person, he withdraws from the material desires actually. He withdraws from material desires. And especially, we will see, Prabhupada in the purport is explaining this aspect. And in the translation itself, Lord Krishna is explaining this aspect, that these desires for sense gratification are desires which arise from mental concoction. The main enemy of the living entity is the mind. And therefore we see anything which shoots up from the mental domain, that is to be given up. So this verse is not saying, okay, so should one give all desires? Desire to go back to spiritual world also? Desire to serve Vaishnavas also? Desire to please spiritual master also? That is also selfish. Go back to spiritual world is also selfish. Take Krishna is also selfish. Preach is also selfish. And please is also selfish. So the point is that now which kind of desire is to be given? That is the question. And here the Lord is clearly making the point. Desires which shoot, so sense gratificatory desires, and these desires shoot from the mental concoctions, from the mind. It's not that one has to give up all desires, but especially one has to give up desires which shoot up from one's mind. And these are the desires of sense gratification, gross or subtle. So that means the very powerful pointer being given by Lord Krishna here, that what comes out from the mind is absolutely going to be bogus. And therefore, one needs to give it up. If one holds it, it is going to lead to problems. And the problem is one will be more and more entangled. So very powerful principle here is the Lord is explaining. Sense gratificatory desires shoot from the mind and mental concoctions. So which means a sadhaka has to know how to differentiate between or how to identify that the desire is coming from the mental platform. So given a desire, unless this mind test is done, is it from the mind? And we get a negative result on that axis. That desire should not be put into implementation. It will trouble us. It will entangle us.
But somehow it tries to fit in devotional aspect also.
It will 100% fit in devotional aspect. Because just like, what to say of mind? Mind is a very subtle element. How can mind not fit anywhere? Even water fits into whichever kind of shape of container which you put it in. Now water is a very gross element. So in the Genesis, water and earth, water is the second most grossest element, like that. And if water can fit into any container, what to say of mind, which is on the level of ether? So if water can fit in, or for that matter, you see earth can fit in on any element, You see earth can fit in. This is earth. But this fits on a form, and you can see that form. So if earth can fit in, water can fit in, what to say of mind? So according to Sankhya, that is a characteristic of mind. So that it can fit in any action. And therefore, any mental titillation looks completely shastric and completely essential for one's advancement in bhakti. He said, this I need more than anything else in my life. And this is Maya's strategy. So this is Maya's strategy.
Good to check it, bro.
That is the point. So we're coming to that. Yes. So mental concoctions. And that's what Prabhupada is mentioning here. One has to give up all kinds of sense desire which are manufactured by mental concoction. That is the art. That is what makes us that is the art. So to understand the answer, we have to relate it to the previous verse. The Lord is explaining. The Prabhupada is explaining. So given any desire, whether to understand it is from the mind or not, we have to check. So given any desire like that, we have to check with the symptoms. We have to check with the templates and benchmark which Shastras are given. And then also it may appear, just like certain diseases, just by one test they don't get diagnosed. One type of test, fine. Another test, fine. Very rigorous kind of test, very expensive here, there, it goes directly to the inside out, it drills completely and gets out something, and there you say, oh, the virus is there. That. So life is like that. So you may say, okay, one type of test, that is it okay oriented towards some kirtan mission? It seems like that, fine. Another kind of test, is my morning program okay? Okay, morning program is okay, fine. But then other things are also there. So one needs to have a full spectrum of test. So now, the next point is to understand. So first is at least the gross test it should fulfill. Is it keeping me in the association? Is it not hampering my morning program? Am I having some seva for Krishna at least? something to please Vaishnavas, basic symptoms. Secondly, what is there now? So the next benchmark systems, little internal. What is the state of my consciousness? Or before that, I'm the sadhana teacher like me. Is my heart grateful or not? You know, is am I are my endeavors Buddhistic or not? Is another test, another benchmark of test. Further, another benchmark of test is time. Time. What is mental either vanishes in time or so what is mental will either vanish in time or subside or it will create more and more restlessness in our systems. More and more restlessness into our systems. And that restlessness will reflect in other activities. In our service, being restless will reflect in being irresponsible in services, being irresponsible in dealings, or being irresponsible in our commitments, money programs, sadhana, like that. That is a sure shot proof that it is a mental game. Right? So time is a very powerful text actually. That what is the effect of it? Actually, if it is a spiritual idea, it should take us closer to Krishna. So whatever level of stability one is in, that stability should enhance, not get lost. Is it not? That is the point, is it not? Like you see, Prabhupada, now he wanted to go to the West, and everybody is saying, what is this Swami, And some people may be judging his motivations also. What is he going to West for? Is he really going for preaching? Such an old man. Does it seem like that? So now, this being a problem statement, how do we understand? That okay, the activity was looking controversial, sort of. Impossible, but sort of looking a little controversial as well. Now the question comes is that, how do you test what it is? So what was the symptoms which Prabhupada was showing? With time, Prabhupada's dependence on Guru and the Lord enhancing. And Prabhupada is going to use enhancing symptoms. So this is the symptom. So that means that which is coming from mental platform will shake us up. But that which is not coming from mental platform, which is coming from an inspiration platform, which is coming from a sincere offering of one's make or one's nature, Krishna, that will not shake a person. Right. That is a very powerful test. Very powerful test actually. Another test is whether it is being supported by senior Vaishnavas. It's a very powerful test. And if you have seen many times, senior Vaishnavas may not just support, their basis of supporting is many times not just face value. But we can see actually how senior Vaishnavas offer their support or withdraw their support. for their blessings or withdrawal. It is not just made based on face value. Because face value speaking or on the externally speaking, they may not themselves have knowledge about that particular field. They may not themselves have knowledge about what is it, what is not, like that. But we can see actually. I have seen it so many situations. They offer their support based on that little bit scratching of the sincerity aspect of the person and the steadiness aspect of the person. Like it. So we will see that this aspect is important actually. And thirdly, the next aspect. So third point, I think this is the point. So the next point is that everything, whatever has to take place or whatever is coming up, has to have some predecessor example. Nothing is unique. Or nothing is unheard of, undreamt of, unthought of. Because everything is coming from Krishna, like waves. So nothing should be so much there is no Vaishnava speaking about it. There is nobody who is embarking on it. So that makes it quite hazardous. So this is an important factor. Makes sense? This is how we can try to judge actually. What is coming from the mind. What is coming from the mind. And sometimes enthusiasm is also mental. Huh? And we just want to rock the world, like that. Huh? And one day, we are making plans how whole Calcutta can become Vaishnav city. And next day we are wondering if mala nahi khatam ho raha hai. Apna existence rock ho raha hai. Like that. So that means that so sometimes when we get too excited all of a sudden by something, so immediately something comes up, pass it on to all the tests and then act on it. First the test of time. Am I really serious about it? The test of time has to be there. So otherwise, and if it is persisting, what are Vaishnavas speaking about? Is there a blessing? Is there any example anywhere? Like that. And then also we take it on trial. We take steps and see what are the effects. The effect is people are becoming devotees, and then the effect is one is himself becoming more grateful, one is getting more intimately connected. It means it's positive. And you can increase your speed like that. So this is how we have to filter off actually the mental propositions. That means the propositions which are this is how we filter. And many times desires may be mixed. So there is some amount of selflessness and missionary spirit and some amount of sense gratification. So therefore initially you will see some amount of result and we will see some negative symptoms also. Or we will see mixed symptoms. Bahar se very wonderful things are going on. Senior Vaishnavas are pleased. Many people are becoming devotee. लेकिन अंदर से कुछ तो चल रहा है ना. खुजली है ना. साथ खुजली है ना. So like that. मतलब